Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Stress Free MD podcast. I am so excited that you're joining me today because today we have a very special guest. We have Dr. Kate Mangona, who is joining us, and she is a dear friend of mine. We met in life coach school training certification. And, I talk a lot about life coaching and the importance of working with our thoughts and how our thoughts create our results. Kate has coached me plenty on this. But I brought Dr. Mangona here today to share with us some really insightful information. And that has to do with how she has created financial freedom in her life. Dr. Mangona, can you please just introduce yourself and tell our audience about you and about your medical background, and then, how you got into
Sure.
this?
And well, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so honored. And remember, just like how many months ago was it that I interviewed you for my podcast?
Yes.
So it's just awesome. I love it. And thank you for welcoming my little baby Isla here too.
For those of you that can't see, Dr. Mangona is nursing her third gorgeous child right now. She has graciously joined us for this podcast, and she is really a Wonder Woman. So
Thank you. Thank you. I know I have been spending every moment trying to enjoy my 2-week-old right now, like the past couple weeks. But I still like when you emailed me and were like, I want I want you to come on and talk about financial freedom and your multifamily masterclass invest course. I'm like, okay, well, I have to do that. How can I say no to Robin, Dr. Like, so here I am. I am a pediatric radiologist in Dallas, Texas. I work at Children's Parkland and UT Southwestern. And my husband is a radiation oncologist who also specializes in pediatrics. And he works at the Proton Center for Texas Oncology. And so together, we both love children, both diagnosing and treating. And and we don't have, I would say we have a little bit of time scarcity. Like we feel like we don't have much time outside of our jobs to spend doing a bunch of single family real estate, like which is what we had originally decided we wanted to do, is we wanted to start investing in real estate so we could kind of create a not only financial freedom, but freedom of time, freedom of geography where we lived, freedom of relationships, who we spent our time with. uh, and we decided we wanted to do that through real estate, since everybody needs a place to live. You get great tax savings. It's a pretty solid investment. It's one of the best ways you can actually build wealth. And we started when we first became attendings by buying homes with physician mortgages, which I don't recommend for everybody because we got zero down on mine, 5% down the next year on his. But we did it with an investment mentality. Like we didn't do it as, oh, this is going to be our dream home. We did it as, okay, how many exit strategies do we have after buying this house? Can we sell it? Can we rent it? Can we short term, long term rent it? That kind of a thing. And then our plan was to buy a house every year for 10 years and have, build up a portfolio of single family homes. And then we quickly realized after a couple of years that it was taking a lot of time and we had more money than time. I mean, initially we were broke, right? We were set like $500,000 broke together after we got married and graduated fellowship. So that's why we took the loans. We started investing in things we could, uh, in the single family properties. But then when we started earning more money, started paying down our debts, we realized really we weren't just making more money, we had more money than time. So we figured out a way that we could leverage that. And we figured out that multifamily investing was just the way for us to go. So we could put our money together with other people, and we met physicians, non-physicians. We did a lot of networking over the course of a year or two in different real estate investment clubs or investment groups in Dallas. And then we just found that it was better. It was better for us, better for a lot of people. We could buy apartment buildings, improve them, make improvements to the apartment buildings, and do renovations, all these little things you never even think about that you can do to apartment so that you can uh, improve its value. And then you hold it for so many years and then you sell it. And not that we don't do this, we find people who do this professionally, and we invest our money that way. And that's how we've learned how to build our wealth and get approach financial freedom. We get closer and closer every month. So that's kind of what we have done. And in doing so, the people we have become really close friends with in doing this kind of took us aside the end of last year, and we're just like, we need to teach people how to do this, how to make smart decisions. Because a lot of physicians, we don't have a lot of time to research all, like, every single deal out there. So, like, we're going to create a course to teach people how to evaluate deals properly, right? So that they're investing wisely, smartly. They're not just throwing their money at any random person who comes and wants to take advantage of a physician. So that was what we spent like a couple months doing, and that's what we do. That's what we do, Robin.
Wow, that's amazing. So let's go back a bit. You said that there was all of this debt. Was that debt mostly between the two of you from your education?
Yes, it was mostly medical school loans.
Okay, so
We
yeah, and
both
you got double that because you're a dual physician couple, right? So you've got double the debt, right?
only a very, very small percentage of it was like from our wedding when we got married in a residency, and we had a zero interest credit card for, I think it was for a year or two. And then we paid that off before interest even started, accruing. So no, we're pretty smart when it comes to not putting, money on credit cards that are going to rack up high interest rates. It was pretty much all medical school debt, which is good debt. I mean, for us, we consider that a privilege and an honor that we were able to use that money in order to invest in our education and ourselves.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the thing is that there are so many people out there, so many doctors out there that are listening that are in the same situation. They have all of this debt, and it's a very heavy thing to carry into your very first job, you know,
Oh yeah.
and then even beyond that. So, where did this really innovative thinking in terms of your finances come from? I mean, it's pretty
Well,
incredible what you've done in such a short period of time.
thank Victor for a lot of it because he's just got this, okay, how can I build wealth? How can I create a legacy for my family mentality? Whereas I was kind of like day to day, how am I going to make sure we both get fed? Like even before we have kids, like how am I going to cook for my husband and I don't even know how to cook, or I don't even cook, so I'm like the day to day and he sees the big picture. But
Mhm.
I was so fascinated and I'm always so blown away by how much he reads. Like he spent our entire fellowship not only just going to learn pediatric radiation oncology, but every moment he was awake, he was on his phone reading articles, reading blogs on finance, and getting in there, like getting in the message, the chats, and whatever he learned, he taught somebody else. And I never did that until I would say the last 2 years, because of imposter syndrome that I had to get over. But I feel like he never had that. And he was just always constantly learning and teaching about finances. And he was determined that we were going to not be those doctors that got taken advantage of or got swindled, or we were just going to be smart from the very beginning. We weren't going to just go out right away and blow through the money that we earned.
Mhm.
And so that's why we started with a single family. And then I forgot to mention this earlier. We also do Airbnb rentals. We do short-term rentals and like midterm rentals where we do like 6 weeks, 2 months at a time. And that's fun too. It's customer service and it is more work than actually really passive investing. So I have a lot of, and I just, so I really looked up to Victor and I've trusted him, and it's been good. It's been good. And he grew up with rental properties in his family. I think I did too, but I was always just kind of resistant, like, hey, I'm going to be a radiologist. That's all I'm going to do. And now
Yeah.
that's not it anymore. People do so many things. you're not just defined by one thing or one career. We can do more things if we learn to delegate what we don't want to do or what maybe is not necessary for us to do.
Yeah. And so you were able to figure out a way to start paying down those loans. And as the money started coming in and you're paying down those loans, how did that affect you in terms of over time, in terms of the number of hours that you were working? I know that you were able to actually adjust your work schedule.
Yeah, so I did decide after 4 years of being and attending, I think it was my second, yeah, after having my second child. So after my second child, after I went back from maternity leave, I decided to go to from 1 FTE, 1.0 FTE to zero point 0.7. So I cut down from 5 days a week to 3.5 days a week. And that was a huge decision for me because at
Mhm.
that point, my career still meant everything to me, even though I had my kids, but like I still really defined myself by medicine. And I was like, well, what is that going to mean? I'm not going to be full time. Like, what are people going to think? Not that it matters and not that I care anymore.
We can do coaching on that.
And I was
Yeah.
like, what am I going to spend my time doing?
Mhm.
Well, of course, I'm a mother. And now I've developed other passions like real estate and coaching and relationships.
Yeah.
So it was a big decision, and financially it was a big decision, but we sat down, we ran the numbers. We figured out that it was actually not as big of a hit as I thought it was going to be because of the tax bracket we were in. And so much was going to the government. So much of that, point 0.3, on top of the point 0.7 was going to the government anyway,
Mhm.
that we could make it up or not even really make it up, but it didn't even matter. Like we were okay. Like if you sit down and run all the numbers and figure out, hey, this is what I need, this is what I need to live, this is what I need to retire, why kill yourself doing any more when I wanted to be more man at home those, you know, day and a half a week, making sure all the doctor's appointments happened, going to coaching, doing all the things
Yeah.
and to prevent burnout. I did it also because I have never been burnt out at my job and I did not want to be burnt out at my job.
That is huge. So here you are thinking, oh, if I cut my hours, you know, am I even being the doctor that I signed up to be? And actually, you're probably more of a doctor than you signed up to be because you're taking this time to do the other things and you're taking time for yourself so you can actually be more present and be more efficient and
Yeah,
be spot on when you are at work. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. And so, we have doctors that are probably listening that have all this debt early on. And then we know with COVID, we know with the pandemic, there's been a significant impact in finances with physicians. Physicians have decreased salaries, many have lost jobs, many have had to close their practices.
Yeah.
And so there could be a lot of benefit in what you're sharing, not only early on in your career, but right
Yeah.
now with everything that's going on.
Just having like an extra layer of security, knowing that your whole life doesn't just depend on one career, that
Yeah.
you can, yeah, it makes life so much less stressful. It's not about the money, it's not about the number. We talk about this all the time in coaching. It's not about how much you have in your bank account or how much is in your, how much your paycheck is. It's how you think about it and how, just how you feel at the end of the day. And of course, you want that security, but and nothing is 100%, but having different options and knowing that your family does not depend on this one thing can create can prevent the burnout. It can prevent just that overwhelming sense of dread, when it comes to going to work because you have to, and doing
Right.
things because the administrators tell you.
Yeah. And just, being able to sleep at night, knowing that you have a backup plan, right? Knowing that you're okay, right? Knowing that no matter what, you're going to be okay, right? Because if there's no backup plan, then what?
Mhm.
So it's amazing how young you are, how young you both are, and that you've been so innovative and so forward thinking in this way. There might be a lot of people also thinking, well, like, I don't have that much money, right? So, how much do I really need? Can you share, like, you had a lot of debt and you were able to start,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we were able to start. So yeah, we started for a couple years. We did the single families. Like I said,
Mhm.
anybody can Airbnb their home or a room in their home. Uh,
So that was your home. You were doing it in your home?
we rented out we started out Airbnb
Ah,
by renting out one room in our home.
uh-huh.
And
Got
people
it.
are like, oh, I could never do that. I've got a family. Hey, we we have three children. We have a dog, and half the time we have a grandparent or somebody living with us.
Yeah.
And we find ourselves like if I gave you a tour right now, we're living in a 3-bedroom apartment, um, which is totally fine. I don't feel like I'm actually sacrificing anything. Um, because we were renting out our home for the summer. We still do it. We actually stopped doing it for most of the pandemic, just because we wanted to be stationary and there were other things we were thinking about. But right now, somebody was just living in our house for 6 weeks. We're in an apartment and we're totally okay with that. And things aren't perfect. Like this isn't my dream apartment. This isn't my dream home, right? But we just do these things because it's fun. And first of all, it's fun. I have fun doing it. I enjoy like providing customer service for a family who actually needs a place to stay, and I
Mhm.
enjoy creating these relationships. It's more work, but and so that's why we kind of. I know you were asking me about the money. How much money do you need? So I'm just saying you don't actually need any money to
Right,
do
because it's
the
your
things
own
that
home.
right.
You started
And
with your own home.
with
That
your
that
own
is
home.
that's amazing, right? So people are thinking, oh, I can't invest in this house, I can't invest in this building, I can't invest in these rentals. But you were able to actually just start really small and
Yeah,
rent
started.
out a room in your house,
hmm And
which,
then we
yeah.
built up some money after a few years. We invested in our first syndication. I think we invested like 25K in our first syndication, which is typically the smallest amount you can invest if you're doing like a syndication with a small group of people. I'm not talking about like if you're doing a REIT or
Mhm.
something online. But if find a syndication with a small group of people, 25, 50, and then you can, 100, 200. And there are a lot of investors out there who want to just fund the whole deal. And then, our friends are like, who manage some of these properties are just like, no, no, no. I want to bring in all my smaller friends, my physician friends, they want a piece of the pie too here. So that's how we started. And and honestly, it's going through what your budget, I hate that word budget, but your spending plan, looking at your spending plan and saying, hey, where is my money going? Where
Mhm.
can I start to save a
Mm.
thousand, $2,000, $5,000 a month?
Mhm.
And it's not looking at the Starbucks. It's not looking at the $5 Starbucks you buy every day. It's looking at the bigger ticket items that you may be spending on a monthly basis that you don't realize, you could maybe live without or find an alternative.
Yeah, it's great advice. So starting small is okay. Starting with your own home is okay. And really taking a look at what you're already spending and figuring out where you can start saving and putting that away. That's amazing. I wish I would have had this information, this insight a few decades ago. And I know that so many people listening are going to find this information very, very helpful. So can you share with our listeners, where they can learn about you and Victor and your other colleagues, and where they can learn about what you offer, and how they can find you?
Yeah. So if you're specifically, and thanks for bearing with me with little baby Isla here, but if you're interested in investing in multifamily properties and syndications or anything finances, what kind of house to buy, what kind of car to buy, real estate type stuff, the best place to go, I'm actually going to recommend my husband's Facebook group before mine. It's called 39.6 Community. It's on Facebook. And has a lot of shows. I think he's up to like 180 shows. He hasn't done a lot in the past couple months just because of the baby and moving, but he does have like 180 shows. He answers questions on there. And we also post like when we are going to launch our masterclass, multifamily masterclass for the fall, we'll post it on there. I also have Instagram and a Facebook group and a Facebook page, Medicine, Marriage, and Money. So that's how you can find me, Medicine, Marriage, and Money on Facebook, Instagram. and my website, Medicine, Marriage, and Money, and my podcast. Listen to my podcast, Medicine, Marriage, and Money. So we're not hard to find. You can find it.
And I'll
Victor
put all
Mangona.
of this I'll put all of these amazing links in the show notes for anyone who's interested in reaching out to you and learning more from you and Victor and your other colleagues.
And also go listen to my episode with Robin Tiger on Medicine, Money, so you can listen to how she fell in love and her relationship, because it's so sweet.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I will put the link to that in as well. Yes, it's definitely a wonderful romance. I'm very blessed. Okay.
Thanks so much, Robin.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for sharing this. Thank you, baby Mangona, who is so adorable. Oh my goodness. Just want to reach out and and get some baby love. Well, thank you everyone so much for listening and taking time to care for amazing you. Remember to be kind to one another and be kind to yourself. And I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode of the Stress Free MD podcast.